Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Asmi Vijayavargiya and you are watching Designer Square by O Homes. So today's video is about the Indian interior design styles and about everything including it. Like we are going to be talking about how the British and Mughals influenced the design, the Rajasthani, South Indian and North Indian design styles and how they vary, and also including the Vastu Shastra about it and everything. So I hope you like this video and find the knowledge you want from it. Now let's get into it. Let's start off by discussing the ancient roots of the Indian design style. The Indian design style is one of the most ancient and diverse styles yet, and it has had remarkable craftsmanship which dated back to the early society and the Indus Valley civilization, having shown designs and remarkable craftsmanship in things such as pottery, fabrics, and urban planning, also with innovative solutions to drainage and grid lines and everything. The architecture from ancient times reflected spiritual and philosophical knowledge. It had the spiritual and mythological architecture carved into it and art carved into it. Like we can take it from the Khajuraho temple, and it was just a mastery of form and function. We can talk about the Ajanta caves and the whole structures. They often incorporated having detailed carvings which told a story about the mythology. There would be designs of either people or gods or goddesses and even cosmic principles inside of it, which blended art and storytelling. They also used locally materials and they were sustainable in it also. There were also Indian textiles like the ancient ones, like the famed Muslims of Bengal and the block printed fabrics of Gujarat. They were prized globally. The fabrics were not only artistic but again they held a spiritual significance value also. They often featured patterns and symbols which were drawn from nature and mythology. Techniques such as tie-dye and handloom were there used, and it was ensuring the longevity in the India's textile traditions. Now let's go on and discuss the Mughal Empire, which was a fusion of cultures which included the Persian, Central Asian and also the Indian designs all together, which created an unparalleled aesthetic which remains iconic up until this date also. The Mughal Empire lasted from about 1526 to 1857 and it was a golden age of artistic synthesis in India. Now let's talk about discussing the Mughal architecture, which included designs such as the Taj Mahal, Fatehpur Sikri and even the Red Fort. It was about opulence and symmetry and innovative use of materials like marble and the precious inlays. There were gardens designed with a focus on symmetry. There were reflecting pools inside of it. It introduced the concept of paradise on earth. The textiles from this period were such as brocades and there were velvets. They were reflected rich color and there were intricate patterns which became highly sought after, including on the global trade routes. The Mughals also introduced the concept of miniature paintings, which was a hallmark of that era, and they included epic narrators with extraordinary detail and vibrancy, and it offered a glimpse into the natural and cultural, also social milieu of that time. There were court life depicted, there was nature depicted, and there were miniature paintings with such significance and value. This period, it significantly impacted the global designs with Indian products, and it also influenced the European taste, and it inspired a wave of cross-cultural artistry. The exchange of ideas also led to the adoption of Indian patterns and materials and the European fashion also. So now let's discuss how the British colonialism impacted India. During the 18th century, when the British started to colonize India and They started it by, as you learned in history, they started by doing banning the architecture and handicrafts of India in itself, and they more of a made it a commercial industry. So many traditional crafts were overshadowed during this time as the industrial production, it took precedence over that, and there was the banning and boycotting also. But the Indian artisans, they adapted and they blended their heritage with the new demands, which gave birth to this new art deco style, which was incorporated with the whole Indian and the British European influences. It gained prominence basically during the early 20th century, and it found expression in India through buildings like the Mumbai's Aero Cinema and New Delhi's architectural planning. This was a era of blending the West with Indian motifs, as you can see in furniture, jewelry, and urban architecture. Colonial influence also led to the establishment of design schools. So there were this training for Indian artisans, which bridged the traditional practices with the new modern age into it. We have discussed the Mughal effect, the British influence, and so now let's move forward and talk about after independence, how the interior realm of the Indian design elaborated and also converted into the design which we are following now. So in that realm, the traditional crafts were blended with the new European and Western and Persian design styles, and they were integrated into modern spaces, like including the wooden furniture which were hand carved. The jali screens were also intricately designed. The traditional flooring techniques like the Athanguri tiles became popular in the luxury interiors. There were textiles such as block printed cushions, hand woven rugs, and embroidered upholstery, which brought rich textures and patterns into the modern houses. They created spaces that are simultaneously contemporary while they were also deeply rooted and traditional. The contemporary Indian designers innovated with traditional frameworks, which created a global yet deeply rooted Indian design. And in fashion, furniture, architecture, there were sustainable practices also inspired by the ancient methods of India, which were incorporated. The whole industry was a fusion of heritage and modernity, which has also right now solidified India's position. And India has become a sort of a design powerhouse, like in interior design. The Indian patterns and materials have captivated the international audiences. The techniques such as block printing, traditional embroidery has influenced global trends in soft furnishing, while the wood furniture and brass accents are now sought after for their artisanal quality. The rugs, the duris, which feature geometric or floral designs, have become staple in modern homes worldwide. And the growing appreciation for sustainability has also now amplified the demand for hand-woven natural fiber-based products, which was deeply rooted in the ancient Indian designs, and it is also now aligning with the eco-conscious sensibilities of the global consumers also. So because of all these changes and switches, now India has this demand for authentic Indian craftsmanship globally around the world. And the online platforms which are coming up right now have also taken a wider reach and let the Indian artisans reach a wider audience for them. And people who are inspired by this can also start their own ways, as the Indian design is grounded in harmony, sustainability, and this whole storytelling ways. Now let's move on to the last elements of the video, which is discussing the regional designs and ending it with how the Vastu Shastra is incorporated and its principles. So let's begin with the Rajasthani design elements. It has jharokas, which is window balconies. They are incorporated, intricately carved by stone, or there are wooden jharokas in living rooms or balconies. Then there is jali work, which in English is lattice work. So they use jali panels for windows, doors or partition, which allows light and airflow and also maintains the privacy of the house. There are courtyards in it, like central courtyards, which could include a small water fountain or a seating area which can act as a focal point in the house. The color palettes include earthy tones such as terracotta and sandstone shades, which could be accented with the bright colors like pink or turquoise, as Jaipur was painted pink when the English people were arriving, which named it the Pink City. Then the traditional tiles and motif, they add like Rajasthani tiles or murals, which features desert landscape or folk art to give that Rajasthani designer element look to the whole house. Now let's move on to the South Indian design elements, which include sloping roofs. There is the use of sloping or terracotta tile roofs, especially in the humid climates in the South Indian style. There are wooden pillars and beams which are carved, which enhance the aesthetic of verandas or the entrances. The places are inspired by temple. Like you can have a small puja room or a mandap with intricate carvings. There are column patterns which integrate the whole traditional column patterns into flooring or the entrance spaces. Then the intricate door designs, they install heavy teak or rosewood doors with brass embellishments. Now let's move on to the North Indian style, which design and elements include ornamental ceilings, which are floral or with geometric motifs. There are marble inlays which add marble work on floors or walls, like they are inspired by the Taj Mahal patterns. Then chhatris and canopies like in pavilions, in garden areas. There are the Rajputana or Mughal domes, which include dome structures on roof or entrance gates, which creates a vibe of grandeur. Then they also like having large verandas with semicircular arches and carved railings. So now that we're done with all this, let's move on to the Vastu Shastra and its principles. So the Vastu Shastra includes the main entrance, so that the main entrance should be the main door. It could be on the northeast, north or east for positive energy. The room placements usually include having master bedroom on the southwest corner, the kitchen on the southeast, and having the living room in the northeast corner, as usually you get an entrance through the living room. Then in the open spaces, they ensure that the northeast area is open and also clutter free, which again suits with the whole main entrance being there. They also like including water elements. It could be storage tanks or water fountains, but again in the north or northeast side. They value having a temple room, and which should again be on the northeast direction. And the colors according to directions are also stated in the whole Vastu Shastra. Like the northeast should have light blue, southwest should have earthy or brown tone, southeast should have red or orange, and many other principles like that, as you can see in the table here. So hope you liked this video and it was informative for you guys. If you want to keep watching videos like this, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video for more. Thank you for watching.